Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz, guys. Welcome to episode 158 of the Untapped Podcast. If this is your first time joining us for the Untapped Podcast, first of all, thank you. We are thrilled to have you here with us. We actually have 5 main formats of our show. So first, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the mental side of our brand. So in these ones, we go over our anecdotal experiences with things like mindset and mentality. We then pass on tips and advice to you guys to then apply to your own lives. Next, we have physical vitality episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the physical side of our brand. All right, we have 2 certified personal trainers here, so we really get to showcase our expertise in these ones. We cover everything to do with Untapped training, which is alive and well. Guys, it's all done through our custom Untapped app. So if you have any questions, curiosities, whatever, regarding Untapped training and what we offer, please get a hold of us. We are very reachable guys, and we are more than willing and able to help you get the results that you want. Now, we also cover everything to do with the gym, workouts, nutrition, supplements, mental toughness programs like 75 Hard. And then at times, we will also take trending articles or topics within the fitness industry and give our thoughts and opinions on those. Now, guys, these physical vitality episodes are full of free game, so make sure you pay attention.
The pause is back, baby.
The pause is back.
Let's go, ladies and gents. On to our third format, ladies and gentlemen. That is our breaking news format. That is what we have for you today. That's when we sit down and touch on current events, current articles going on in today's world. Depending on the topic, it could be a pretty heated episode. Usually they are our most heated episodes. If you want to talk about intensity-wise, so to speak here. But granted, we're not going to make it our whole personality here. We could do 3 to 4 current event episodes a week with breaking news. We're not going to do that. We're going to bring solutions on these episodes and how to maybe learn these lessons from these current events that are going on. Now, on to our fourth format. That is our Knights Table format. It is a masculinity-based format. We sit down and touch on things like toxic masculinity, if it's real, what it is, fatherhood, the impact it's had on our lives, and male-based topics in general and how important men are to the future of not only the United States, but the world. Now, keep in mind, I'm 26. Wurtz is 26. Our producer, Mitch, is 24. Because of that reason, we are not coming to you as some all put together perfect man. The only man that has ever walked this earth and been perfect is Jesus Christ. Now, on to our fifth format. That is our guest format. That's when we sit down with entrepreneurs, fitness professionals, athletes, doctors, somebody with a great story, or anybody that brings you value in general. We learn a lot from these episodes, even if, which we usually do, know these guys, or gals for that matter, actually. But we're going to learn a lot from them. You're also going to glean a lot of knowledge from these episodes. Can't wait to bring you more of those as well. Mm-hmm. Our final thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
Hello, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Not much. How
Roll
are you?
Wild, right?
Roll wild.
On that bandwagon.
Yep.
No blues. No blues here.
Well, and no abs this playoffs either.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly.
You two are very funny sports fans to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're weird.
You're weird for sure.
If one of our teams is like soft, then then
you don't watch.
We cut it. Yeah, we don't watch. Yeah.
Here we are over here suffering through the Cardinals' degeneracy these last few years. We still watch.
See, I can't do that. That's why whenever I go to Busch with you, you notice that like I'm like more like commenting on the stadium because like the Cardinals are so cheeks right now. I don't like it's hard to watch. I don't like the team I like losing.
Right.
It's really frustrating.
Right. The only enjoyable part is Arenado, and even him barely.
Poor guy. Is Sonny Gray having a decent season?
He's all right, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, he's having a decent season.
Not like I feel like last season he was dialed big time.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good, but I don't know.
Not astonishing.
You two are just funny with sports. It's
funny. I mean, yeah, because our top 3 teams are all in the same division too.
Right.
Like Blues, Avs, and Wild.
Right.
And like you want to lean on one of those teams, but man, like it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Plus the teams they typically play are very gay. I mean, like
super gay NHL teams. There's no
Well, the NHL is big on that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We can even do an episode on that. But like the playoffs have been infuriating for me as a hockey player.
Yeah,
it's the softest stuff ever. Like
in the hockey sense of it.
In the hockey sense,
as far as actual games, it's been super exciting.
The games have been. This is probably the best playoffs I've ever watched in my entire life.
Awesome.
This first round.
Yeah.
The first round is like March Madness for hockey fans.
Yeah, it is. It is
big time for us, which is great. It's just that there's still that lingering aspect of like I don't know if it's newer hockey fans or the new age of hockey or what it is, but they're so soft in the physicality. It's like,
Yeah.
this is the NHL playoffs. These guys are going to take each other's heads off, and that's the point of it.
Right.
That's the point. That's part of the game.
Right.
That's how you get in each other's heads. And now, granted, if you're doing like cheap, dirty shit, that's different.
Of course.
Obviously.
Of course.
But if we're talking like clean hits, like Tom Wilson's, by the way, look up Tom Wilson on, I think it's William Carrier, but he's a player on the Canadians. Just absolutely obliterates this guy. And the whole internet is trying to debate if it's a clean or dirty hit.
Mhm.
And I think it's a great indicator for our society. Like the two like bipolar opposites in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Like people that love the physicality and like the masculinity of the sport and whatnot.
Sure.
And there are other people that are like afraid of that violence that comes along with it.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, like dichotomy between the two. But
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, and that translates to youth sports very heavily
Absolutely
right
it
now.
does.
You
Yeah.
know, any sport for that matter. It's just it's entitlement. It's soft. It's driven by parents
Mhm.
instead of playing or being there for the kids. It's more driven by the parents. You know, and funny enough, I didn't even mean to do this, but like a lot of what we just talked about there.
That's exactly what
It's
that's why
exactly-
I stuck on it, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I know this will lead us right in.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Gail mentioned, but we basically have a breaking news episode here. There's a little bit of Forging Fortitude type stuff that might come at the end, but probably more of a breaking news episode here.
Sure.
Talking about I always mess this up, but Shedeur Sanders.
That's right.
Shedeur.
Mm. I've heard both.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Shedeur is a little bit easier to say. Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
The whole situation regarding him, obviously the NFL draft was this past Thursday. We're recording right now on April 29th. Happy birthday to Father Wurtz, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Shout out.
That's
Yep.
right. Yes. Was it? I guess it was this past Thursday, right?
I believe you're correct.
From when we're recording.
Wait, the Thursday was the first round.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So over the weekend, I think the round he got drafted in would have been Saturday.
Yeah, it was
I'm
not
correct.
primetime television.
No.
Primetime. Uh-huh.
Oh, that was good. I'll give that to you.
Come on
That was
now.
good. Now, yeah,
Come
yeah.
on now.
I gotta acknowledge that. I'm like, damn it. Yeah.
Deion Sanders' nickname was primetime, or is primetime for those of you that don't get the reference.
Are
Sanders.
you indicating that our listeners are stupid right now?
No.
Okay,
I'm
good,
just,
good.
Sometimes JT
Just looking out
does.
for you guys. Yeah.
JT shows his age at times, so I could see it.
He
He admits it though.
He has been with our group chat
It's
lately
been
in
bad.
golf. Yeah.
it's
I don't know what was going on.
We got to check in on him.
Yeah. Because the round we're about to play this weekend, that's
Right.
it was all in play with that. But yeah. Anyways.
Yes.
I wonder if he texted in black and white.
He does.
Okay.
That's insane.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
saw his phone.
That's-
Him and I played this past weekend. Yeah, it was all black and white.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Following.
yeah. Well, it made him feel more comfortable. It's just what he's been used to seeing.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
I mean, granted, I'll give the guy this. He for his age, he's an athlete. Like he moves better than any 123-year-old I've ever
That's
met
what
in
I'm
my
saying.
life.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
it's
And why is
incredible.
that? Because he's an untapped
Well,
training
it's because
client.
he's an untapped athlete. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Check his bio, by the way, guys.
By the way, yes.
JT Thomas 01 is his Instagram handle.
I think so. I think
Or
you're right.
maybe it's JT.Thomas.
Yeah, whatever.
Either
Yeah,
way, it
same
doesn't matter.
thing.
But the
Yeah.
point remains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Untapped athlete right there.
Yeah.
123 years young. We love you, JT.
We're gonna make that so viral eventually with the
Yes.
the JT
Yes.
comments. Oh my god,
Bro, we have people that come up and like mention it to
yes,
us.
100%.
It's so funny.
funny, dude.
Okay, anyway, getting back on track here. Talking about the Shedeur Sanders situation. So obviously, if you don't know who this guy is, he played at Colorado University. Or is it University of Colorado?
University of Colorado.
Where his dad, Deion Sanders, obviously an all-time NFL great.
And he played at Jackson State as well.
Who's that?
That was before the 2 years at Colorado.
Oh, I
his
actually
freshman
did not
year.
know
Yeah, it's an HBCU small college.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they played there for a year. Him and Travis Hunter both did.
Okay.
Him and Shedeur did. And
Gotcha.
then Shiloh Sanders, also the other Sanders boy, plays. I don't know if he still plays or he did play at University of Colorado with them as well.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Gotcha. Well, their dad's the head coach.
Mhm.
And Travis Hunter won the Heisman this past year.
Oh, I forgot he did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. A little controversial there,
Yeah, a little
but
controversial, yeah.
whatever. That's not what this is about. So leading up to the NFL draft, Deion was all in the headlines, just hyping his son up, and to an extent, like that's totally fine. I mean, you gotta be supportive of your kids. We were kind of talking about this before we started recording, and whatever. Deion's always been a flashy person, of course. Always finding his way into the headlines. And then a lot of the experts, the NFL experts or NFL draft experts or whatever, Mel Kiper and people like that on ESPN, and had Sanders going first round, like slam dunk. No way he's, I even saw some that he might be the first pick in the draft.
Well, I was going to say that was a conversation, I believe, early in the college football season, this last college football season, that there was a very good chance he was going to go number 1 overall.
Right.
It was actually, I'm pretty sure there was draft odds that it was very likely he was going to.
Right.
I think the season kind of pushed him a little bit later in the first round, but you're right. He was going to go first round as the hypothetical here.
Yes. And any of these guys you heard talk, literally any of them, had him as a first round pick, was going to be, there in Green Bay is where the draft was. It was going to be the whole show, and all this. And draft night came, and he was not picked in the first round. He was not picked in the second round. Not picked in the third round, the fourth round. But what did I just read? The 144th pick in the 5th round, he was taken by the Browns. And so kind of leading up to the eventual pick for him, after the first night, there were videos that came out of Shedeur, talking to like his crowd or whatever that was at their house or wherever they were. He actually might have been in Green Bay. I don't remember now. But they had this whole room decorated for him and all the bling and flashiness and all this. And he's, talking to the people that were there with him, saying, we all know this was a mistake and we're all shocked and blah, 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 blah. Well, then over the course of the next couple of days, there was like racism, conversations,
as there always is
on TV and on social media and all this stuff. And it's just like, it's exhausting, quite honestly.
So I was going to say, like, it's exhausting because of the NIL money the Sanders boys make.
Well, sure.
Shedeur especially. I guarantee if you look up his numbers right now, his NIL numbers are pretty. Let's just say that.
I'm sure. Mitch, maybe you could look that up for us.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was a mistake this. It was a mistake that, it's unbelievable this. It's unbelievable that. And the experts were saying it. Dion was saying it. Shedeur himself was saying it. And all this stuff. Well, then more comes out that, during interviews and whatnot, like Shedeur wasn't really conducting himself very well. Seemed very unattentive during interviews. And I read one. I don't know if this is confirmed or not. So just a caveat. But he like came in with headphones around his neck and there was still music playing. And there were like some of his people were behind him and still like having conversations loudly, like while they're trying to do an interview and all this stuff. And it's just like,
what, his crew?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Because I didn't see this because, granted, I haven't looked too much into it.
Sure.
But, like, obviously we have things pulled up and whatnot.
Right,
But
right.
this I did not hear about,
Yeah.
which is insane, if true.
Exactly. Again,
Totally alleged.
Reading Yahoo Sports quickly, it says his contract with the Browns, his salary is lower than his NIL earnings. His NIL earnings, Yahoo Sports, again, that's the reference there, was $6.5 million for NIL earnings.
Yeah.
And
Just this past year.
Yeah, and his Browns contract is like 4.6 million or something.
I can't believe
that.
he even got 4.6
I was going to say,
fifth round.
as a 5th round pick, that's a good way to be looking at usually like 800 or something like that.
Oh,
Or maybe,
yeah.
maybe 900 or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Wow, that's great. And
Still an insane amount of money for a college student
Absolutely.
making
100%.
$6.5 million.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's some, that's what's, in NIL as a whole, side note, I won't go down that, but I think there was some like track athlete or cross country athlete that just got like 1.4 million from an SEC school or something like that for NIL.
Jeez.
So it's just to hit home the point there. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and again, we've talked about NIL in the past and how it's gone so far the opposite direction. That, and again, his dad was already Dion. He already had the superstardom. He would have had the superstardom with or without the NIL money, to be completely honest with you, at this point in time. And again, I want to sit on the point too that when it comes to Dion, like you do want to see the father back up his son. There's no doubt about that. Like it's the same thing as the LeVar Ball conversation. Remember with the Ball brothers on that? And he was crazy polarizing.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, if you can't fault the fact that he was also like very dedicated toward his sons,
right?
Which is what you want to see from a father.
Well, and some of that polarization from LeVar Ball obviously was intentional
100%.
to continue to have their name in the headlines. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, that's what it was.
It's like the Paul brothers.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah,
concept.
Exactly.
And so that to just make that very clear, like we understand like Deion's got to back his son up. There's no
Right.
doubt about that. Like I would do the same for my son. Like there's no doubt about, and maybe I wouldn't be as brash. I will
Sure.
say that. I will say that too. But I'm also not arguably the best cornerback of all time in the NFL.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in Deion's case. So that makes it a little bit different too. And that was his style when he was in the NFL, but he also backed it up.
Mm-hmm.
And the concern comes into play when, don't get me wrong, did Deion and Shedeur turn the program at Colorado around? Technically, yes. They put up 4 wins the first season with them, and I think it was 8 wins the second season, whatnot.
But their record against it was like ranked teams or something. It was like 1-8 or something like
hopeless.
that.
Yeah. It was hopeless. But the problem with that is the reason I'm going down that rabbit hole is like, great. Colorado was a 1-win team before they got there, brought it to 4 and 8. Okay, great. You can make the same argument for Brock Purdy, for God's sake.
Sure.
He brought Iowa State to an 8, 9, 10-win team because of the fact that he came there, and we were a 3-win team before that,
right?
For example. But the problem is, and the reason I bring up those whatever you want to call them,
Points
stats
or whatever,
points of that fact that it was 4 and 8-win season, is he hasn't really done anything to back up his play yet. He's obviously very good. He's very talented, that type of stuff. But I don't know where other than the fact that he's Deion's son, I don't know where the entitlement comes from that you can walk into draft interviews with just this cocky, inattentive attitude entirely.
The semantics.
The semantics that come along with,
Right.
It's just this game plane, it seems like, that he's trying to like act like he's like this almighty messiah that just walked into their room.
Right.
He's going to save their franchise. And it's like, dude, look, you guys had a ton of recruits at Colorado and still only got the 4 and 8-win seasons and couldn't beat ranked teams.
Right.
You haven't proven anything yet.
Right.
And they were comparing, you even sent me something, this tweet where they were comparing Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, and Aaron Rodgers, I believe.
I think it was, yeah.
And like they were all like brash at some point in time. Well, Joe Burrow, by the time like he was cocky or brash, was after he won the national championship at LSU, had an undefeated season, probably the best offensive team of all time.
Right.
Probably, I would argue.
Oh, yeah.
That. I mean, unbelievable.
They were crazy.
He's also the only reason the Bengals are ever relevant.
Yeah.
Him and Jamar Chase. That's
Right.
it, because their defense is hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
So he has every right in that
100%.
scenario, obviously.
And has does he have a Super Bowl?
No. Not yet. He lost to
The Rams.
The Rams.
The Rams.
Yes.
Yeah.
They lost to the Rams.
They beat the Chiefs
2 years
in
ago,
the
3 years
AFC
ago?
Championship.
Yeah.
And then lost to the Rams. Yep.
So Joe Burrow, that covers one. The other one was Brady, the GOAT, obviously.
I think that speaks for itself.
I shouldn't have to explain 7 rings. I mean, come on.
Needs
Like,
2 hands to put the Super Bowl rings on.
And by the way, before he won like 2, 3, 4 rings, I don't think he said a word.
Yeah, right.
He didn't say anything before
Right.
that point in time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he was a 6th-round draft pick, so he was pretty reserved. Just sat behind Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe got hurt, stepped in, boom, rest is history. With Rodgers, probably the most talented, athletically gifted, whatever you want to call it, QB in NFL history, like throwing accuracy wise, especially arm talent wise, unbelievable.
Yes.
And again, has Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl ring,
League MVP.
league MVP. I think it was 4 times. Was the
Something
count
like
on
that,
there?
yeah.
Something ridiculous like
Yeah.
that. So again, a Hall of Famer,
Right.
obviously. And again, we could talk about his ayahuasca trips and all that stuff.
We can talk about who he is now.
and the
but-
weird stuff he does now. Like, I'm not going to defend Aaron Rodgers now. He's an oddball. There's
Big
no doubt
old
about it.
hippie boy now.
Yeah, it's something else. I think he fried his brain with a Mesoamerican demon over there, or something like that, with that ayahuasca.
Yeah.
He took the wrong stuff or whatever it was. But
Yeah.
So those 3, there's no comparison. Like, you can't say, well, Joe, Tom, and Aaron, they're cocky and whatnot. I would be cocky.
They can
too if I
back
was
it
them.
up.
I would be really cocky.
Well, and a point of this tweet as well that I sent you that you're talking about now, this person was claiming like a racism type thing with it because the stat you just read off was a comment to this tweet. The original tweet was more talking about how people are telling Shedeur to like stop talking and like be humble and all this. And the guy in the original tweet was like, well, no one told Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Joe Burrow to be humble. And then the comment came in with everything you just listed off.
What about Cam Ward? What about the 1st overall pick?
Yeah.
Oh, he's black. Oh, that's crazy.
What about the 2nd overall pick?
Oh,
Travis Hunter. Oh,
what about 99% of draft picks
exactly.
before him.
Exactly.
Black.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
There
ain't no racism going on here.
It's kind of, it's so funny how tiresome that's all gotten too.
Yeah.
We at this point in time, anybody that calls anybody racist for that type of stuff, you have to like ruthlessly make fun of them because we have to let these people know that racist stuff and that trope that comes along with it of like this super, get people to act like victims and whatnot, that type of stuff. If you want to call me a racist, yeah, I'm a racist. Sure.
Yep.
At this point in time, you might as well just accept it because it doesn't mean anything. Like the term racist means nothing nowadays.
Well,
at all.
And are you really going to say that all 32 NFL teams were in on this plan to not draft Shedeur until the fifth round because we don't like black people or something like this? Like, is that really what you're going to claim here? Like, it makes no sense, right? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that's the problem is like the logic doesn't add up. It's the idea of like, you looked at conspiracy theories and whatnot. You want them to like partially logically add up.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? Like the moon landing, you can look at it and like ask some questions about and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's like it's also funny just because like moon landing, we've talked about it, being a top 5 masculine trait and all that stuff.
Right.
But the point remains is like there needs to be like logical aspects to these conspiracy theories for it to be realistic. Like some of them you hear and you're like, okay, like what are we?
Right. Like 32 NFL teams being in on a plan to not draft a guy.
That's the conspiracy that we're coming up with. And the rest of the league, 95% of them are black.
Exactly.
This is their conspiracy they're working against.
And not to mention too, the NFL has done and does do some woke type things. So again, to claim racism,
granted, they probably do the woke stuff just to save face a little bit,
right? Which they've also stopped with a lot of that too. After all the Kaepernick stuff and BLM,
and that's because of backlash. Like that's
100%.
That's all that stuff that you see is not something that fans want to see at all. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear about it. That type of stuff. It's the same thing as like you send your kids to school. You don't want to hear your teachers. They shouldn't know anything about their politics. You shouldn't talk about your politics. They shouldn't know a single thing. You shouldn't wear anything that indicates your politics. Nothing. Like I want that teacher to be considered neutral to my kids, no matter what the age is in school.
Right.
It's the same concept there. In sports, really don't care. If they want to speak on it and whatnot, that's fine. But the whole like shove it down your throat thing is a whole different story. And it's also the problem everybody has with it is like these logical fallacies that come along with it. Like that somehow and all 32 teams are racist.
Right.
It's just not like this is what you're coming at us with.
Exactly.
This is the best you got.
Right.
Like, come on.
Oh, you got him.
Yeah. Find, I don't know, one incident where like, I don't know, maybe like find some kind of incident where like an executive called a black person a name or something like that.
Right.
Like, or something like that. I don't know. But there's nothing you can find like that either.
Exactly.
And it's like you're standing on this thin glass basically. And you're like, oh, I guess I'm gonna still yell at people, even though they have like little rocks that's gonna break the glass under my feet and I'm gonna fall.
Right.
That's essentially what's happening.
Right.
Like your argument is so useless that in low IQ, by the way, extremely low IQ, if somebody argues racism nowadays in any fashion, essentially, is what it is. Because the racist thing is so just worn out. I mean, I'm so tired of it. Every for sure, every white person that we are friends with are tired of it at this point in time. It's exhausting.
Well, and
to deal with it.
Even guys like Will.
Yeah.
Like, think about the amount he's talked on it and does talk about it. Like, go look at his Instagram account, all the videos. So it's not even just white people are tired of it. It's just people are tired of it.
Yeah,
and like you said, it's baseless.
It's lazy.
It's lazy. It's baseless. And now the actual term racist means nothing. Just like all the phobe words mean nothing. Transphobe, homophobe, all this other stuff. Like it doesn't mean anything because you call everyone that.
Yep.
Like, yep. Okay, I am. You got me.
Cool.
Yep. Next.
What are we on to the next topic?
Right.
What are we talking about?
Right. Here? It's exhausting. And all of this stuff with Shedeur here, all of the semantics were also exhausting. And ultimately, that is what led to him not being in the first round or not being a first round pick. Not only to mention too, like, yes, football skills are obviously good. However, that style of quarterback it very rarely plays in the NFL unless you're a Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen type quarterback where you can legitimately run and throw.
And even Shedeur's his running game is not really his strength either.
No, he just runs away from the O-line.
Yeah, exactly. Like, other than that, like you watch And again, I've seen plays he's made where his arm looks good. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about that. I'm not going to pretend I'm a professional NFL scout, but
Sure, of course.
you know, and again, like why are these two guys talking about it that have never been in the league or something like that? We're not talking about his skill. Like that's not what we're worried about here. We're worried about the situation surrounding it,
Correct,
and whatnot, and how it's a bigger look at culture currently.
Exactly.
That's really what it is. It's a
Yes.
bigger look at culture and the detriment this type of stuff can have to also the youth, like you talked about as well, which is a concerning aspect as well. Because the problem is when you see people like Shedeur and whatnot, and the professionalization of it and NIL, all this stuff, the problem is youth sports become more and more professionalized too.
Sure.
I mean, think about baseball teams.
Mhm.
Youth baseball teams are ridiculous. Every softball or baseball player that I talked to is like, oh yeah, I played 6 games this weekend or 6 games in a day.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, why?
Oh yeah.
Why? You play more than the pros do in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane.
Well,
Yeah, granted.
but yes.
you get the point. But it's like, why? Other than just to have the money that, you know, these tournament clubs can bring in.
Right.
And that's it.
Well, and again, that type of stuff is driven by parents.
100%.
It's driven by
Yeah.
parents. It really is. And I mean, I can speak firsthand on this. Not only did I grow up, obviously, playing baseball, but youth sports, at least while we were in it, it certainly didn't feel this way. You know?
Yeah, at the higher levels, that's the only time I really noticed it.
But at the
In
higher
hockey,
levels,
yeah.
like it's a high level of skill.
Right.
You know, there's going to be those types of things involved. And
Yeah.
like, okay.
And it was only noticeable for hockey when they were like 15 and 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like the guys I knew that would play all the higher level. My parents were, they always were like, we're not going to travel every other weekend. Like it's not
Because it's
happening.
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And every one of those guys, every one of those guys that were doing that in high school with us, they didn't go anywhere. They didn't do anything. They didn't play D1.
Yeah.
I don't think a single one of them played D3.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
You get on the ice with me now. They have a dad bod or whatever, and like every one of those guys, or now they just complain and whine in men's league and that type of stuff, and that's the peak of what $25,000 a year got them.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Right. You know, and as far as like youth baseball goes, I mean, it's exhausting. It really is, and that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to get out of it as a coach who also did not have kids of my own. So the drive for me was obviously different than what the parents were, but you look around, you go to a ballpark, you know, there's fields everywhere, there's teams everywhere, there's people everywhere, right? You look at all the kids on the field, and you know, they notice guys like Ellie De La Cruz. He's one of the young stars in the MLB. I like to call him Ellie De La overrated, but Ellie De La Cruz, one of the young stars, very flashy player. He's got some high level skills, but he wears all the bling. He's got all the colors, the sleeves and shoes and all this stuff. And like, whatever, like you wear the swag, I'm cool with it. I am. But he's in the big leagues. Whether he's a good big leaguer, bad big leaguer, doesn't matter. He's in the big leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So to a certain point, he can back it up.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. You look around and all these kids have all the bling on. I mean, I'm talking big old chains, multiple of them, all the colorful sleeves, pink and blue and lime green and all this stuff. They're just covered in this stuff at 12 years old. And they're going, they're going 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs at 12 years old, but they're walking around like their shit don't stink.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. And it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Everyone's does.
Yeah, everyone's does. Just a useless addition by me there. Useless addition.
Anyway. But then you watch their parents and
you see why.
and I've experienced this.
You
see why, but parents want to come to me as the coach and blame it on me. And it's like, well, number one, like you are a tool. Like, you're just straight up a tool. Okay.
And you don't think creatine's effective.
You don't think creatine's effective. Yeah. That's just, again, you're a tool. Number two, if you want me to tell you the truth, I will. If little buddy over here wasn't so worried about looking like a gender reveal with his gear, maybe, just maybe, focused on his skill development a little bit more, which I'm trying to do. Maybe he doesn't go 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs in his 12U baseball game.
That was one of your better ones you've had there. That was good.
I'm just saying, man.
That was really good.
It is exhausting. I mean, you know how exhausting it was for me. You do. You know firsthand, dude.
Yep.
Like, you really do. I'm not just making this crap up. Like, it is. it is so toxic. And not only because of the parents, but it's so toxic for the kids too. Because I hear things, you know, when you're in the dugout, you're around the ball, like I hear things and they're going at each other sometimes. It's just like, what is this environment that we, because all of us that are adults have contributed to this in a way? What is this environment that we have built for these kids to think that they are just automatically entitled to the best high school team that they want to play for, or if they're in high school, the best college that they want to go play at, or if they're in college, that they should be a number 1 draft pick in the NFL? Why? Where did this come from? You know? And so the point of all of this, guys, and this is maybe more the Fortitude side of this, is when you act like an ass, you're not going to get the success that you want. When you just expect to be a first-round draft pick, but you don't really have the things to back it up except running your mouth, and your daddy's running his mouth too on your behalf, the NFL teams don't want that in their locker room because you're a problem. You're a cancer to the locker room. We've got 17 games a year. We're trying to win 17 games. When we have cancer in the locker room, we're not winning 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for the NHL. Same thing for the MLB. Same thing for the worst product on earth, the NBA. Like, it just doesn't work. So then you translate that to a business or an organization.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a cancer in that organization, your organization is not successful.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't. That's not how it works.
Well, and stick on that point too, because one, and I'll say this too as well. Growing up, so I one of the best examples I have is I played in a tournament, my senior year of high school, that was supposed to be like some of the top high school players in Missouri at that time. And that's not a flex. It's Missouri, guys. It's not Minnesota. It's a little different here. But the point,
Missouri hockey is no joke though. Also,
there's no doubt it's coming up a lot in a lot of ways now. It's heading in the wrong direction in some ways too. Mr. Lavecchio is hopefully helping address a lot of that, which is great to have him as a friend and see him doing that. But anyways, but you know, going to this tournament, it was in Pittsburgh, and other teams, and then our own team as well. You saw 2 or 3 guys, usually on each team, that had an unbelievable amount of talent.
Sure.
Great players, phenomenal players. Actually, whenever they were level-headed, really fun to play with because you know, you feed them a pass, they're catching it. You feed them one-timer, they're burying it, getting you an assist. Perfect, awesome. They're back checking, you know, helping the defense out. For me as a defender, that's huge. Moving forward, great. But then the other 50% of the time, they'd be taking penalties and acting like idiots the whole time because things didn't go their way in the game.
And then bitching at you for it.
Exactly. Yep. What are you doing? It's like, I wasn't even near the puck.
Yeah.
You just turned it over 3 times this shift before this.
Right.
What are you talking about? So and then the problem is, like you said, what happens is then let's translate into the real world, because these guys obviously are not, if you guys couldn't tell, they're not going to the NHL. They're not going to the NHL. They're not even going to the ECHL, the lowest minors there, which is also, by the way, still sick. It's
of course.
Very good players.
Of course.
Those guys take a lot of hard work to get there. They're not even going NCAA D1. These guys, I know who these guys are. They didn't go in NCAA D1. So, not ignoring that point, but going on what you were saying in the real world with work and all that stuff. The problem is, here's how it translates. Either you are cancer to an organization, like you were saying, and then the organization is like, why would we need you? Like, you're completely ineffective and useless to our development.
You got to cut it.
Or you get there and you realize you can't be a cancer, and then you're like this apathetic, lazy, very mediocre 9-to-5 worker, or you try to be an entrepreneur and you're extremely mediocre at it because you think that connections are just going to come your way. Everything's going to just be handed to you, that type of stuff. And again, you and I have been in this for closing in on 5 years now at this point in time.
Yeah.
And headway is really just starting to be made in a lot of ways.
Right.
That's a long time.
It is.
Stick with it.
It is.
Somebody that's think they should be handed everything their whole life, they're going to give up after 2 years at most.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that.
At most.
It might be 2 months.
Yeah, at most.
Yeah.
And because that's, and you notice, guys, how I didn't talk about how Wurtz and I are perfect entrepreneurs, because obviously we're never going to be that.
Sure.
Like, we could be 40 years in. Yeah, we'll be really good at that point in time whenever that time comes, but will we be perfect? No.
Right.
Obviously not. But
it's kind of sick to think about.
Us
being 40 years into business.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. That just like got me really excited.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Because, you know, and that'll be a topic originally, like the long-term future of the fitness industry. That's a random thought. We could do that for an episode.
Good one.
Long-term health fitness industry.
Yeah.
keep an eye out for that one, guys. But it's so interesting because I think this is such a good point in how it translates into real life too, because there is those two options. Either they're going to be just horrendous and a cancer, or they're going to think everything should be handed to them and just be max a mediocre worker.
Right.
And then think how depressing that is. You thought you were this stud athlete your whole life and whatnot, and now you're at a cubicle and you do spreadsheets at a very, very minimally effective rate, and just so you barely get away with not being fired.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the max of your skill you get to after you were this in high school or this and when you were 14 or 15 or whatever it was, doesn't matter. That's depressing, you know? So that's the thing is like, what happens if Shedeur performs? Then we'll be like, oh shoot, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, we were wrong.
Then 31 other NFL teams are like, we got it wrong.
He's throwing 35 touchdowns a season. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got it wrong. Or it'll turn out he burns out in 3 to 4 years.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, okay, now what do I do?
Thank goodness we avoided that one.
Do I just join my
UFL?
my dad's as an assistant coach at Colorado?
Yeah,
Where do I go from here?
Right.
UFL? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
You know? So that's the question it makes. And again, to be truthful as well, it's also extremely annoying to be brash all the time.
It is.
To the general population, if you're brash and loud and annoying, even if you can back it up, it's still annoying.
Yeah.
Like, the only guys that are really accepted to be that brash and annoying are the ones who win a shit ton.
Right.
Like a McGregor.
Yeah.
When Conor McGregor was at his peak, everybody was like, oh yeah, this guy's annoying, but
he's legit.
He drops people.
Yeah, exactly.
As he said, he dribbles their head off the canvas. He said that to Draymond Green.
Oh, I know.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
But again, a guy who backs it up.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if we have to eat our words with Shedeur, fine.
Yeah, right.
I'll actually be happy for the kid.
100%.
Truthfully, honestly.
I mean, think about all of the greats that were not first-round draft picks. Albert Pujols. Ever heard of that guy? Ever heard of him?
I haven't.
No, yeah. He played for the Cardinals for a few years.
He was a decent guy. Really not a good human. What do you call it? A philanthropist. Not a philanthropist at all.
Yeah,
doesn't
work
help
for
the St. Louis community whatsoever. Yeah.
He was drafted.
We love you, Albert.
Yes. He was drafted it was like the 27th round of the MLB draft.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Stud.
Dude hit 704 home runs.
That's okay.
Will be a slam dunk, obvious first ballot Hall of Famer.
That's an all right number to have. Yeah.
Arguably the greatest right-handed hitter of all time.
That's unreal.
Drafted in the 27th round.
Yeah. And Bonds is at
762.
62. Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking 65 for some reason.
Yeah.
But anyways,
762.
Yep.
But
that's crazy. That's crazy to think how close they are actually. Now I'm like processing that. I'm like, holy crap.
I know. And then between them is Willie Mays, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. 714.
And I guess Hank Aaron.
Yes.
He'd be right below Bonds, wouldn't he?
Or that's that. I think that's who I meant to say. Yeah. What did I say?
Well, Willie Mays is between them too. I mean, 714, then
A-Rod's
Hank Aaron,
there.
then
right. Anyway, A-Rod had 695, I believe. But that's just one example. So my point is, it's like Shedeur, instead of doing all of this crap afterwards here or leading up to his eventual pick, could have the mindset of, all right, I got something to prove. I thought I was up here. 32 NFL teams who I'm trying to be a part of. I'm trying to be an employee of theirs. Mm-hmm. Did not think so. They took me way later. And now I've got something to prove.
Yeah.
So go out there and prove it. Prove why you should have been. Prove why 31 other teams got it wrong.
Well, and also, you got to think the Browns took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
A 5'11", 200-pound QB.
Right.
Before Shedeur.
Right.
So that even makes you question things. You're like, oh, shoot.
Exactly.
Then I got to compete with Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. Oh, my competition. But it's like, instead, you could be like, I need to prove I'm better than these guys.
Well, and like, let's talk just on the Browns specifically really quick here. They obviously have had a lot of negativity surrounding their organization with all the Deshaun Watson stuff and a lot of losing. So it's like, again, go prove it and go be the savior that this organization, this fan base has been just dying for the last, decade probably, something like that. But instead you're turning to excuses, and all of that translates into an organization that you work in, a business you work in, or in our situation as entrepreneurs, we're in a business where we need clients. If we acted like idiots all the time, we do act like idiots, but like in a good way. Like we're funny, we're also very knowledgeable, and we have sources to back it up, and we also have proof of the work that we put out for people works.
Mm-hmm.
Again, JT is a walking example of it, all jokes aside. He's a great example of that, among others as well. But we don't act like cocky idiots. We don't have the semantics and all this stuff.
Mm.
When we talk about science-based things, we have facts with us. We have stuff, we have articles ready to be pulled up. So we don't talk out of our asses, my point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these guys have been doing.
Yeah.
You don't have the numbers and the stats and all this to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Why you should have been a first-round pick. Move on. It didn't happen. Sorry. But it didn't happen. You still did get drafted. You are still going to the NFL. Now go prove why you should be QB1 in the NFL. There's only 32 jobs in the world. Go prove why you deserve to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Inside an organization, maybe there's a sales division in your business, and let's just say there's five sales positions. You think you deserve one, but you don't have one. Well, go prove why you should be one of those 5. Go show them why. Go show them why.
Mm-hmm. The overarching theme of what you're saying is these antics will not work for 99.99999% of the population that wants to succeed. We're talking about the population that wants to succeed, being brash and an idiot. Nobody heard about Andy until he actually had multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, right.
Then he had already put the work in by the time he came around. And
it
was known he was a very intense personality.
Sure.
But he wasn't, so to speak, cocky.
Right.
Until he actually had proved those numbers.
Right. He wasn't the Andy that we all think of now.
100%. Because that's what some people would try to rebuttal.
Right.
With that. And it's like, what about your guy Andy? Like, your guy. I don't mean like we're best friends
with
him, obviously. But the point is, like, who we support a lot, again, he has the proof. He has it on paper, the proof of his multi-billion-dollar company in first form, which is crazy to think about. And there's multiple other companies he has too.
Has too, obviously, as well.
But the point is, it won't work for somebody unless you have it on paper. But even the 7-figure entrepreneurs we've had on the podcast, even like Will and Jeff, Matt, an athlete.
Yeah, right.
Which Jeff would be athlete and entrepreneur, obviously.
Sure.
And technically Will would be too, both athlete to a certain degree, bodybuilding, and then entrepreneur / philanthropist as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even these guys who are just stud muff. I mean, genuinely like huge idols in our eyes in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Maybe idols isn't the right word. Maybe like mentor or like somebody you look up to is the better word for it. Just, well respected by us here.
Yeah.
Even those guys, how humble are they every time they come on?
That's what I was going to say. They are just terrific people as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, and these guys, I'm sorry, like these guys have made way more impact than what Shedeur has.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I've talked on this before, but you mentioned Matt. Matt, he's a World Series champion. He had been in the big leagues for 10 plus years, throughout different seasons. So when he was trying to get back into the league, he could have been like, well, obviously I should be in the big leagues. I'm a World Series champion. I've hit X amount of homers in the big leagues and I've stolen 3 bases in the big leagues. Have to throw that one. It's so funny.
Episode 105, if you guys want to listen to that live too.
Yes.
Episode 105. That was unreal with Matt.
So he could have been like, I'm World Series champion. I've got all these homers. I've been in the big leagues this long.
I'm him.
Like, I'm him.
Yeah.
Like I should be in the big leagues. Like it's a no-brainer. No, instead, he recognized that he needed to refine his skills and work on his skills to get back there. And that's all he did for 2 years straight. And I watched it firsthand. This dude is just grinding his ass off in the gym, in the cages, on the field, doing whatever he needs to do to get back. That is the mindset that Shedeur does not have right now. And I hope it changes. I do. And like you mentioned, like, hey, if we're wrong, like, by all means, we will admit we're wrong.
And again, Shedeur isn't even the main point of the episode either.
Exactly.
Like, don't get me wrong.
We're using that as an avenue.
Yeah, 100%. It's an avenue to talk about the topic itself.
Exactly.
To actually lead to the topic itself. Like, I really couldn't care less whether Shedeur succeeds or doesn't succeed.
Right.
It really, like, it won't affect my life. Like,
correct.
None of these NFL players, what they do will affect my life.
Right.
Like, yeah, Brady winning 7 rings is cool, but it also doesn't affect my life at all.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Let's just make that very clear. sports are just a great example to deliver this message
Yeah.
that we're getting to here about not being apathetic, not being lazy, being detail oriented, that type of stuff, to at least some degree. I mean, and we very much so try to build on these skills daily.
Yes.
Daily.
Without a
and
doubt.
it's been, I'll be honest, guys, an extremely difficult road.
Yeah.
These last 5 years, we've had so many turmoils and conversations where we're like, dude, this is hard.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we're still not at the point where we want to be.
Right.
Or we will be. But does that mean we're just going to stop and be brash now?
Right.
Just because we know Lavecchio or know Will
Right.
or know Matt? Really?
Right. Exactly.
Come on now.
Right. Right. No, 100%. I mean, we're 158 episodes into the podcast alone.
Yep.
Not to mention all the stuff we did before we started the podcast. I mean, it's hard. It's cool to look back on. And we're also a really great example of what not just throwing in the towel looks like. You know, again, we may not be where we want to be, but we didn't give up.
Well on the way.
Exactly. You know, and again, sports is a avenue to deliver these types of messages. I think you said it, you know, a couple episodes back, like sports are culture. They're a reflection of culture. Culture is a reflection in sports.
Thing. Yeah.
Sports is a reflection of culture. Politics, same thing. And there's plenty of other examples as well. So yes, the Shedeur Sanders situation itself doesn't really matter. It's a hot topic right now, so it's a good way for us to deliver this message.
Yep.
The biggest thing. So, guys, that is episode 158. Now, at the end of all of our non-guest episodes, Money Mitch over there, who's very quiet over there, quiet as a mouse. Yes, he just gave us the dad wave. And what are you doing there? At the end of all of our non-guest episodes, Money Mitch will ask us a Q&A question that's submitted by you guys, the listeners or the viewers. Now, we have a few different ways that we would like you guys to submit these questions to us. Number one, you can DM them to us on Instagram at untapped.llp. You can also DM them to us individually. You can text them to us if you have our numbers. Next, you can email them to us. Our email is extricationfitness@gmail.com. Now, it's a little bit of a mouthful, so we made it easy. There's an email button in our Instagram and Facebook bios. Lastly, you can leave them in the comments of any of our social media platforms. So we post clips from the podcast on Instagram, Twitter, sometimes X, and on YouTube Shorts as well. So you can leave them in the comments on any of those platforms. All of these questions, these two are just giggling like crazy over here.
This is what happens when you leave Mitch and I alone while you're
right,
yapping right now.
Right. All of the focus boys, all of these get sent to Money Mitch. He then picks one out that pertains to the topic of the episode, or something from a past episode, or it can be about anything. They can be funny, be supplement related, health, fitness related. It doesn't matter. Guys, just submit these questions. Now, with all that being said, Money Mitch, it is your time.
You
to
are
shine.
a yapper. I mean, oh my Lord.
Hey, man, I'm just giving the people the information. Guys, I need help. I hate these two.
The problem
It's fluid in Japanese.
the minute that you would not give all that information would be like an episode where we'd have like 800 questions
Probably.
try to
Right.
be submitted.
Right.
And then they'd be like, how do we do it?
Right.
It's like, oh, shit. Damn, we missed it. Go ahead, Mitchell.
Do sports build character, or did they strip away the character that's already there?
Man, I was really hoping to be the 100 gorillas or 100 men against a gorilla question.
That is, people aren't understanding that. It is 100 versus 1.
Wait, well, Mitchell, we can't just answer this now.
It's not, because there's no question about it. It's not single file. You're not attacking a gorilla
Yes, I know.
one
That's all
by
I know.
one by one.
Right, right.
It's a strategic
We get it.
101.
We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. We
Anyhow.
get it. Please ask the real question again.
Yeah.
Do sports build character, or do they strip away to reveal the true character that's already there?
I hate these questions where both could be right.
It's like the super soldier serum, though. You know, it enhances you, and then you become your like true,
become
more of your true self.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Cap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the obvious answer, and it's cliche some, but it's true. Like sports definitely build character. Now, is today's, I'll go specific to youth sports, is today's youth sports culture conducive to building character? I do not think so. I already gave a bunch of reasons earlier in the episode, so I won't go over those again. We gave plenty throughout the episode here with the Sanders situation. But But I would say today's current youth sports culture, and it doesn't really appear to matter the actual sport, whether it's hockey or baseball, football, whatever. I do not think that it is conducive to character building. And I think that is strictly because of the entitlement that exists throughout youth sports. They are financially driven. They are parent driven. They are not in the business of bettering kids, teaching kids the sports skills, but also teaching kids the life skills. And when the skills are not put on display, per se, on the field, on the ice, on the court, whatever, parents want to bitch and moan at the coaches. And the coaches are there giving up their time to try and make those kids better skillfully to the sport. And when those things are not paid attention to, when accountability is not had at home with the kid, be like, hey, like, we're getting you to lessons, we're getting you to practice, we're getting you to training, in the gym and things like that. Maybe we need to change something up here. It's not change organizations, it's not change teams, it's not change coaches. Sometimes I won't act like that's not sometimes the case, because it certainly can be. But that's what people want to blame first. But are you taking your kid to the cage outside of practice, outside of lessons? Are you physically fit so that he sees you working out? Dad, are you physically fit? Are you going to the gym? Are you working out at home? So he sees you doing that and wants to do that as well. Do you play catch with your kid? Talking about baseball specifically here, because I know for hockey it's a little bit different, because you can't just go get on the ice.
The question along with it would be, does your kid play multiple sports?
Does your kid play multiple sports? 100%. That's a great addition to this. But also, do you show an interest in your child, not just in the sport that your child is playing? Because, again, I got to go back to the parents here, just because I've witnessed it so much here these last couple of years when I was still involved in this world.
And again, the reason you are is because they're the adults. They're the ones that need the accountability here.
Right.
They're the ones that should be acting the most mature in this
exactly. And they are typically the ones acting the most immature. Dude, the amount of parent-to-parent arguments from, like, opposing teams that happen in the stands or out in the parking lots, like, dude, the shit is unreal. It's like, if I told some of the stories, you wouldn't believe me.
Yes.
And it's like, no, this is fact. Like, this is not fiction. This actually happened. But it's the parents that are competitive with each other. And listen, I think you should pass on that competitiveness to your kids, like, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You got to teach them it's a competitive world, whether it's sports, business, whatever. Like, it's a competitive world. So you have to have that in you. But when you're competing with other parents of an opposing team, or sometimes on your own team, because that also happens, the kids see that. What is the message? What is the image you're portraying by doing those things? So, while yes, sports do build character, because I believe while we were playing sports, I do believe that is what was happening. I really do. I attribute a lot of my character traits to the sports I played growing up, like, without a doubt. Now, I also wanted to get better at those sports. I practiced those sports outside of practice and things like that. I was always hitting with my dad. I was always playing catch with my dad. I was taking ground balls and fly balls and things like that. We watched baseball every day. We still do. I wanted that. Kids want to be handed these things now.
Mm-hmm.
And is it all on the kid? No. Is it on the parents? Yeah,
mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I do believe sports build character. I do not believe today's youth sports culture is conducive to that, though.
I think that's a great distinction to make. I really do. I fully agree with all that, because I think it's extremely important for you as somebody who has coached youth baseball to make a point of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because, obviously, whether it's patients at Health Source or just athletes I've worked with and whatnot, there's been one 15-year-old kid I've worked with where he was in a much more relaxed but also still competitive environment. It wasn't that the parents were on top of each other's head. They were in a different league. Him and his friends did mountain biking, basketball, play every backyard sport you could ever think of, that type of stuff. That's the athletic stuff they would do. And the kid was an athlete. Whenever we'd work out together, he was a really good, solid athlete. Was grown into his body too. But like that's just a good example of you don't need the professionalized parents attacking each other. You're playing 6 games in a weekend to actually become an athlete.
Right.
Because I can't wait, by the way, until all 3 of our kids, like they're crushing other kids because the fact that our kids are playing multiple sports and we're just focusing on them and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But first focus, obviously we want to win, but did my kid put their best foot forward
right.
in that game? Did they play the best they could have? They lost. That's part of it.
Yeah.
You know, but also I'm not going to have them be like, have a coach be like, well, your son wasn't at practice tonight. This is supposed to be like our tune-up for tomorrow's 8 games. Yeah, he's not coming to practice. That's not happening. That's idiotic. Like he's a kid. He's 10 years old. He doesn't need to be having 3 practices in the 3 days leading up to a weekend like that. No, it just doesn't need to happen. But so, anyways, needed to rant there for a second, of course. But because hockey and baseball, from what I understand, are the 2 worst. By the way,
it's at least the ones we know.
That's very biased of us. But like from what I've heard and talked to other parents about this stuff, softball obviously as well for girls side of things is really bad from what I hear. But those 3, I haven't heard a ton more. Like volleyball, I think is pretty intense, etc. But I actually want to stick on the point of sports revealing character because taking out the youth sports being toxic now. Okay, let's just assume that's not the case here.
Sure.
You know, which obviously it is. So that's not the case, sadly. But if you just go down to the level of sports revealing character, like Mitchell was saying, I think that's a really good point because I really do think the character of the athletes on the field is going to come from the parents. So it's going to reveal the character your parents have distributed upon you. Mitch and I always played hockey very fairly, no cheap shots, but we played hard. We worked our ass off every single game. That was the goal every single time.
And here's a key too, you respected the game.
Exactly.
If you respect the game, it'll respect you.
Yeah.
If you disrespect the game, it'll disrespect you. And it works the same way.
And I can happily say that I never was like, bro, why didn't you pass that puck to me right there or something like that? I never did that.
Right.
Never did that.
Right.
And if it was something like that, and you usually in high school it was me being like, hey Mitch, you see me like cutting there or something like that? Can you feed me and we go that way? And he would hate it because he's my younger brother. That's just normal. But I also was like,
shut up, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what. Yeah, look at him. Yeah, just admitting it. But it's and that's gonna be part of it with the younger brother aspect. But even with teammates, I would always go at them with a very level head in that scenario.
Yeah.
It was always, hey, you see how you stepped a little bit early there and you got walked by that guy? And I didn't say walked, of course, but I said you got like that guy kind of blew past you a little bit in this scenario. What you can do is just say stationary so he instead can cut inside. So you have cut outside. So you have the inside covered. And then you have a better advantage at that point in time. But if you step first, he has the advantage that type of stuff. Well, that's a conversation of it.
And what you're doing there is you're not coming at them saying what you did wrong.
You're an idiot. Yeah.
You're an idiot. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. And that's why he scored a goal. That's why, we lost or whatever. You're coming at it. And I know you were literally a captain our senior year or in high school. But that is a captain's mindset. It's a leader's mindset. Uh-huh. So whether it's sports or business or whatever else, that's a leadership trait right there. You're coming at it with a solution. Be like, hey, he beat you. He scored a goal or whatever, but he beat you. Here's why. Here's how we fix it. Mm-hmm. It's not he beat you and here's why. Move on.
You're a dumbass.
Exactly. Yeah. Because is that productive?
Yeah.
No. What? Of course not.
That's and my overarching point is just like the sports revealed the character my parents built in me.
Yeah.
Like which is we could bring up literally almost every episode somehow our parents being involved in it in some way because of the lessons they've
how that works, huh?
Yeah, isn't that weird? which is why again if you're somebody listening to the podcast and you didn't have great parents, whatnot, it's on you to change that for your kids.
It is.
That is not just because you had bad parents is not a reason you can be a shithead. It's just not. Now, does it make things harder? Yeah, absolutely. We know plenty of people like that. 100%. It makes things harder. The outlook on life harder. The right decisions making, that type of stuff. It makes it harder. But 100%. Do you want your kids to deal with the same thing?
Right.
Or do you just want to not have kids and also not continue your legacy as well and like try to impact the world better? Again, not including people that literally cannot have kids. Like that's a whole different story. I think I have to caveat that because the fertility conversation is very volatile. But anyways, I don't know. I think the reveal character is a really good part of it if youth sports wasn't the way it is now.
Correct.
Because it's hard to say that youth sports nowadays won't infect a lot of kids. I still do know a few athletes who have not been infected by it and whatnot.
Sure.
They're like, yeah, I'm playing 6 games this weekend. Just gonna show up and work hard, that type of stuff. And then, like they're pretty level headed with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you knew kids on your team
Of
as well like that too. But
and that was probably something I didn't mention. This isn't all kids. This isn't all families.
Parents, right?
It's not all parents, of course.
Yeah.
And I probably made it sound that way, but that is the way it feels at times.
Yeah, 100%.
When you're in it, and when you're in it in a way where you don't have kids involved, so your reason is a little bit different, or your why is a little bit different, it can feel that way.
Yeah. And that's when the other parents who aren't doing that should be stepping in to also back it up. That's a big thing too, because not almost every parent, but a lot of parents I talk to, they're not happy about the state of youth sports right now. They're not happy their kids are playing 4 or 5 games a weekend plus 3 practices in a week or something like that, and they're 10 years old. They're not happy about that
because they have to be at all that too.
Exactly. So let's just say 70-80% of the parents think that way. That's a majority, if in case we missed math at all in that way.
Carry the 1.
Yeah, right.
And then subtract that 1.
Okay.
So you're back at 0.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It's a majority.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're on the same page there. So stupid. But again, like thinking about it that way, if there's 70-80% of you parents, why aren't you guys banding together and like stopping leadership of these organizations, these clubs, these tournament providers, whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you saying no?
Yeah.
Because the minute you say no, and all of a sudden, all of their 15 grand dries up from you, all of their 20 grand, all of their even 5 grand dries up from you.
Yeah.
They'll start changing their tone real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So again, you're the majority. It was the same thing during COVID. Same thing happened during COVID.
Sure.
Like everybody knew it was bullshit. I
Right.
mean, it was the same evidence as like they said the mask mandate was lifted and 99 out of 100 people took their mask off on the planes, in those videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like it's a great example of the sheep mentality. Like you have to, and especially with your kids, you should be standing up in this scenario.
Yeah.
And being like, no, we need to change youth sports around. Talk to the other dads on the team.
Yep.
Get together and be like, what can we do about this? How about this week we missed 2 practices, all of our kids? And I know it sounds crazy idea, right? Or how about this week we tell the coach, no, we're only playing 3 games this weekend.
Or we don't play 15 tournaments in a summer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you already when school is in, you already don't have your kids for 5 days out of the 7.
Yep.
But now during the summertime, we're going to play, I kid you not, 12, 14, 15, sometimes a few more tournaments. That's 12, 15, whatever. Weekends.
0 family time.
Gone.
Either.
Some of that you're traveling. So it's like, it's mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
Yeah. But that's the question of like, okay, like let's turn youth sports around, but also, yes, sports reveal character, and that comes back to the parents. The parents are the real theme of this Q&A question here. That's really, really what it is like, because kids are malleable. Like they're going to adapt to what stimulus you give them, whether that's the youth sports organization they're in, or whether it's the parents and them letting them run wild at home or have iPads all day long, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to adapt to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're going to be little shitheads in that scenario with the iPads.
Right.
That's not the point, of course. But parents comes down to you guys, and future parents, it also comes down to us, because now you're aware of this.
Yeah.
Now we can take it and go.
Exactly. Man, that was good stuff. That was really, really good stuff.
Share the freaking show.
That's right.
And drink the untapped smoothie. Again,
you can just see your muscles grow. Yeah. It's crazy.
Both of us have gotten the Springfield smoothie location now.
Yeah.
With untapped smoothie, which you can. Because I actually, one guy, funny enough, one of our listeners asked for the recipe.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll send it to you. Because they don't have it in stores yet.
Right. They have the name, but they don't have the recipe.
Yes, they have the name, but then, that's okay. But that's the thing. If you want the recipe, guys, and you're in Illinois, Springfield, or Columbia, or KC?
Yes.
Okay. If you're in there, ask us for the recipe. We'll send you it.
Yep.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. All right, guys. That is episode 158. Share the show. It's free. So do it. Get an untapped smoothie. It's not free, but it's not expensive. So drink it.
That was comedy. And it has creatine in it.
And it has creatine in it, which works. And hire us for untapped training.
Correct.
And get jacked.
And get ripped.
Even
if you're old like JT.
All right, guys. Until next time, peace and love.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
my mama